Righto, special guest, Matthew Hayden alongside from the yellow. In fact, I'll call it gold. Gold and yellow are pretty similar, right? Yeah.
Similar, yeah. They'll do for anyway for this episode.
Well, I don't want to sort of upset Bill Laurie or anything.
No.
Yeah, anyhow.
Canary yellow, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. So from the gold of Australia, which is a champion side, we know that, to the yellow of Chennai, which also is a champion side, we know that, and essentially, Hayden, so what I want to know is the inner workings, and I know you'll have a bit more than that, the inner workings of what is a champion side, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, and how you found your niche, the bit you must do in there to make sure that it works the right way for Australia, and for Chennai as well.
Yeah, well, I think probably the most important thing about anything in life actually that you do, but in particular from a cricket sense, and when you compare the great side of Australia with the great side of Chennai, the alignment piece was very simple. It was actually around the cricket heart.
Right.
Now, at the time, and you were right there from the conception of the IPL, there was always that kind of dilemma between, you know, are we entertainment or are we cricket?
Yeah.
And some sides went down the route, like RCB, for example, that were kind of like the party franchise, and multiple others as well. But cricket was central to Chennai, was central to Tamil Nadu, was central to the franchise of CSK and the ownership of that.
Yeah.
Central to the leadership, including MS Dhoni, who was the first captain and still remaining captain.
Yeah, still going.
And central to the overseas players to whom Chennai actually aligned with. So that alignment piece across the board actually was its key strength. Cricket remained at its heart. Many would say it's a yellow heart, and I wouldn't disagree with that. But it's driven the franchise forward, driven the inner workings, driven the communication, driven the connection to the region, to the fans, and ultimately I feel has actually driven results as well.
Yeah. If you kind of went from how things used to go, and I say this because as I watch the game, so if we go to 2008, and I suppose every game, every sport is dynamic and it keeps moving and changing, whether the changes are subtle or they're drastic and driven by the athleticism of players themselves or by rules and regulations, doesn't matter, but the game just keeps moving.
There's an evolution.
Yeah, all the time. So tell me about what kind of happened and what you felt in the time you played it, considering, and I know this is long-winded as a question, but considering that when I think of Australian 2020s, it was entertainment. It wasn't yet, it didn't seem to be fully accepted first up until they kind of did. Now they're World Cup champions as well, 2020 champions.
Just though.
Yeah,
Just.
Yeah. And so now when you turn up to Chennai, what's going on in Matty Hayden's mind in this format that it's got to play, and how has it gone along to where we are now?
Yeah, it's not quite answering the question, but just taking it you back maybe 3 or 4 years. So the conception of T20 cricket on the global platform wasn't there. So the 2008 winning efforts by India, 2008 wasn't
2007,
it?
yeah.
2007. 2007 winning series, 2008, corrected, first IPL. Had that have not happened, maybe none of us are sitting here today with these beautiful Himalayas in our backdrop.
Yeah.
It was that important.
Yeah.
But cricket was late to the party. Cricket Australia was late to the party, and it was actually a real sort of combat between myself and Ricky. Ricky was very much short-driven form game, like one-day cricket, and loved Test cricket. Yeah. Whereas I was always thinking I love Test cricket, not sure about one-day cricket, and loved T20 cricket. So when we arrived at the T20 World Cup, Hayden was fired up. Yeah. You know, and he had his natural wingman in Adam Gilchrist that had been playing T20 cricket in one-day cricket and Test cricket.
Yeah.
So he'd sort of arrived in his own thinking. Not only did he change the landscape of wicket-keeping batsmen, but he changed the landscape of cricket forever, I feel. Yeah. And we just had to join his party. So coming to the start and the conception of the IPL, if I can compare in nature what this catastrophic change has been, it's similar to a glacier in Alaska.
Right.
So is it changing? Yes, of course it is,
Yes.
because the fascia of the glacier falls off and it creates those amazing waves that people sit and watch every day, you know, as a part of the tourism operation of being in Alaska. Is it still an ever-shifting body? Yes, it is. Is it the mass around it, which is cricket? Yes, it is. So the changes have been catastrophically subtle, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I like your oxymoron in. Yeah.
And because they are, right? Like when you look at this season of the IPL, the fact is that we've had 32, maybe even 33 now scores of 200 plus.
Yeah.
And how many of those have been chased down? I think there's been 4, maybe 5 of those.
Yeah.
Chased down.
Yeah.
Not...
and some chased down comfortably.
Well, the first of which was match 13 of this season, Gujarat Titans taking on KKR, where Rinku Singh was, you know, that name will be forever born.
Yeah.
Single off the first, and then 5 sixes. I'm in the taxi trying to watch the next glacial fall, and to see that game, you know, chased down. I think it was a 207 first innings total from Gujarat, and chased down, some would say miraculously, but it really set up what has been this catastrophic change to the IPL, the acceptance of a new number, a new normal. People would have put it down to substitutes, batting deeper because of that, you know, batting rule. When it comes to the field in run chases, the substitute will come in and bat. But I'd like to just think that it's actually the evolution of the batter taking on the 5th and 6th bowler. You know, the Achilles heel of a bowling lineup, and those franchises that have had that weaker 6th bowler, even sometimes 7th bowler, have been destroyed. You know, unfortunately for Yash Dale, that was him on that night where he was taken down. So, look, a lot has changed. To summarise, the glacier is still heading towards the coast, and that's the body of cricket that's been played before it and will always be played after it. The bits that are peeling off are the acceptance of new figures, new totals. Even as commentators, Pommie, how do we assess averages, aggregates? We're now very much of the vocab of strike rates, and how it is that, you know, that's performing from a batting sense. I'm talking about.
And as you say that, it's sort of trying to understand as you sit there what's too many, as guys try to work out teams, batting sides, try to work out what is managing the scoreboard in a chase, you know. There was a time when if it got to 12s, it was, you know, and if you go back to one-day cricket, and I suppose that's part of the issue as well. I mean, if you went to one-day cricket, it was just over a run a ball, thanks for coming, you're not going to win that for more than 10 overs, you know.
Absolutely.
And if you did, it was kind of miraculous. And then you come to 2020 cricket and you go, oh, 12s. If you get to 12s for more than 4 or 5 overs, I think you're gone. Then it went to, what was it, 15s. Remember Rahul Tewatia in Sharjah? 15s, 16s, teams managing that. And here, it's kind of even more than that. You don't know what the number is because, like you say, an over can go for 30, so you don't know. You know, it could be 18s for a period of time, and then there's an over of 30, and the team gets back in it, and these guys can hit it out the ground. Separation.
Just on that though, I feel where it's again really shifted is the acceptance of the back 5. You know, so we in one-day cricket used to think that a lot of the work was done in the power play, the first 15 overs, and 100%. I'll never forget, you know, having this conversation with John Buchanan, who was sort of making the accusation around my own performances in one-day cricket, and he said, mate, you're not batting deep enough. And I said, yes, but John, I disagree with that theory because I'm literally going to hand you an opposition heart on a plate if Adam Gilchrist and Matthew Hayden bat 15 overs of a match. So my point here is that a lot of the work gets done at the front, sure. So when you look at the top run scorers, of course they're going to be 1, 2 and 3. That's roughly where they are. But where do we make impact? You can't win a game in the first over.
Correct.
You win it in the 20th over. So what I feel has really happened is the adjustments around embracing what's possible with a run rate required in the back 5. And to that end, I look first of all statistically at what the strike rates of those consistent match winners are at that stage. And there's been multiple throughout the course of this Tata IPL. And rather than control and look to make it maybe the last 7, they go, no, actually it's probably only the last 3.
I know, it's crazy.
Right? So this whole concept that MS Dhoni, you know, getting back to CSK, kind of created, and we were always on edge. Is he taking it too deep, having that debate? You know, is he left it too late, having that debate? But the reality of it is that he really started, like Gilly did back in the day, he really started this thought process of taking it deep. And who would have ever thought that, you know, 29 runs in the last over? I mean, we are here at this incredible place in Dharamshala, where the first IPL match was played here back in 2010, and MS Dhoni at that point had 14 to win off the last over to take CSK.
It was ridiculous to think, wasn't it?
Ridiculous. Yeah. You know, so he took 2 off the first ball, remaining was 12.
Yeah.
He went, boom. Boom.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for
Unbelievable.
coming.
And I like that, because the shift. I mean, you were talking 14 and we're talking 30. You know, over time.
But even if you strike the distance, right? Say even 20. I mean, we've seen that hit so often, haven't we? Through the middle stages now, sides going, you know what? I reckon the 6 bowler's on. It's got to go for 20, 25 plus, and it's been done regularly.
It's been done, yeah. And if you haven't done it, you kind of feel you've not done what you're supposed to. You've not done enough. Okay. The secret, and I know many ask this, and many will sort of wonder this, but having been a part of winning sides and winning squads and winning groups, not just for a season, for a long time, right? Give me an assessment of what it takes to put champion groups together. So what was the secret of that Australian group that dominated for so long, of Chennai? What is the secret? What do you reckon is common amongst all of you as you're together, or about kind of the leadership or whatever it is? I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, to maybe create a little metaphor, analogy, for me it's like the infusion process for making a cup of tea. So first of all, you get a tea bag, or you get something that restrains tea from falling into the pot, so the fallout, you know, is not something that's, you know, unsavory for fans and spectators, but that holding this of that together is important before you pour the hot water over it. And what the inputs are and what the outputs are 2 entirely different things. You know, so the tea actually harvests the intellectual property, and then the feed in is all the conditions, you know, stats, the relevance of ground conditions, you know, environmental conditions, blah, blah, blah. But what has to come out is got to be champion liquid that everyone wants to enjoy. In the centre there, though, is the question, what goes into it? Firstly, you've got to have a common cause. You've got to know you're going to sit in the cup.
Yeah.
You know, that's the most important thing. So then you've got to have the right blend of characters. If it's masala tea, you know, no point in having too much cardamom, no point in having too much, you know, cinnamon. It has to be the right blend. The right blend from a batting sense is a combination of both strikeability and also longevity. So you've got to be able to bat some time. Can't get runs from the dressing room. From a bowling sense, it has to be that you need to own the back end, the Yorkers. You have to have some up-front bowlers. You have to have a combination of skill sets that do both. You know, like Bhuvanesh Kumar, for example, you know, is one of those players over the course of time would sit comfortably inside that tea bag. Because what falls out of it is often wickets up front and some great bowling, death bowling at the back of it. You know, so they're very consistent properties. And that's important because mostly in cricket and the environment, you're so off balance, and that consistency allows you to be as on balance as you possibly can.
One special thing they would all want to shoot me if I didn't ask you about MS Dhoni. Everyone sort of goes into that camp, as happens with cricket. It goes into the camp. You kind of remain yellow eye patch, old Haydos here, always, because that's kind of what happens. That's your team, right? Tell me about the man. You said right at the beginning, was the leader then, is the leader now. That in itself is a hard thing, right? Like to keep at the forefront of a side and kind of leadership. And tell me about him and what you reckon is special or has allowed him to have this longevity. Not necessarily from a playing perspective, but I think from a leadership perspective, and everybody seems to like him.
Yeah, well, if I can carry on, just because I want to, this analogy of this analogy,
do what you want.
Analogy of the the tea bag.
Yeah.
If we stick to that for a second, he's the Muslim cloth. So, he's that cloth that encompasses all of those different elements.
Yeah.
And I dare say he even strikes a bit higher than that as well. He perhaps is the quality control of the water, because if you make, tea out of swamp water, it's going to taste like swamp water.
Yep.
So those inputs coming down from a very so now if we take it out of that situation, the inputs are coming down. I've mentioned before it was a very consistent input.
Yeah.
From a very consistent senior management and leadership group who are still part of the franchise today. Nothing has changed in, what do you know,
16 years, yeah.
16 years, yep. So nothing's really changed. So he's been able to manage that relationship really well. So he's had a very top-up management style and a very good bottom-down as well. So the outcome has remained very consistent. So in that way, he has always remained very true to his own direction within the game.
All right.
And I think that's what we all globally, admire so much about him. Is he emotional? We wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Is he passionate? 100%.
Yeah.
Is he controlled, and does he have, the measure of the situation under pressure? Well, of course he does. So, these leadership qualities are no different to values. If you don't have honesty, integrity, respect, loyalty, you're kind of at sea with your environment. Yeah. So those qualities have to be there, and what I'm suggesting is that they are with MS Dhoni.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's it for now. We could go on, we could go on talking about a whole lot.
Pommie talking too much and Haydos talking too much. What are you talking about?
Are we employed? No, we're not employed. Just do it for fun, don't we? Hey, remember to subscribe and let us know what you think about whatever you like, whether it's MSD or Chennai or the Aussies, that great Aussie side. Tell you what, we could move out the way so you can see this wonderful sight behind us. What do you reckon? Right? What about this for a view? How good? Fantastic, eh? This is the beautiful Dharamshala. That's it then. Cheers for now.